Ain't no way, ain't no how. I'ma let somebody come shut me down. Hold my own, I'ma stand my ground. I'ma rep my city and salute my town. Said ain't no way, ain't no how. I'ma let somebody come and shut me down. I'ma hold my own, I'ma stand my ground. And I'm ready for whatever and I still stand proud. Ain't no way. Who you think you kidding, dude? Never thought that I would do.
What up, though? It is your boy Mike D, host of Wrestling from the 313, and we are here on this special Saturday episode. Usually you see me on Tuesdays, but today we're doing something a little special. This episode is brought to you by WSN, the Wrestling Society Network. If you have Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, or Apple TV, download the app where you see tons of cool wrestling content, everything from documentaries, shows from independent promotions, wrestling cartoons, anything that's wrestling is on the WSN app. Also go to their website, thewrestlingsociety.com, where you can sign up for a free account, check out more wrestling content, and also go to the podcast room where you could catch up, listen to a bunch of podcasts such as myself, Joe Monroe, Samp and Chance, A Bear's Thoughts, tons of podcasts in the IWC, so make sure you go there and check them out. And also go to the Patreon page where you can join their Patreon page for free. But for exclusive content, make sure you they got membership options for you where you can check out all the exclusive stuff. So today we going international. My guest is all the way from Northern Ireland. He's got his own podcast, Kayfabe Keaton. And he's also aspiring to be a professional wrestler. So he's joining us today all the way from North Ireland, Kayfabe Keaton. How we welcome people in Detroit. What up, though? And welcome to Wrestling from the 313.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. It's an honor being on this podcast. So thanks very much for having me on.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So before we get into the questions and stuff, a lot of people don't know that Ireland has a really, really strong wrestling background. Sheamus, if I'm correct, is from Ireland. Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, Finley, and his son, they're from Ireland. So, yeah, very, very strong wrestling background in Ireland. What are your thoughts on the history of wrestling in Ireland?
Yeah, it's a very prestigious history, especially in Northern Ireland as well, where I live. There's been like Dave Finlay Senior, Fit Finlay was from there. Then we obviously have our Irish talent from the same island, on the island of Ireland. There's Becky Lynch. I think it just goes on years and years from what people expect. Most people probably know like Janie McDonough, Becky Lynch, Fit Finlay, people like that. Yeah. But it's went on for years, and the scene and the history of the scene is so fascinating. It's incredible, and the amount of years it's been going. So it's an honor even for me to be a part of that scene and maybe even put my foot in the door of Northern Irish wrestling. There's so much history involved in it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just to let everybody know, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So if you guys got any questions that you want to ask me or Keaton, leave them in the comments and we'll definitely answer your questions. We got one comment right now from Scenic Spots. Appreciate the love on the intro. So let's start off, Keaton. For people who are meeting you for the first time, what got you into wrestling growing up in Northern Ireland?
So we were just looking through the channels, and I was trying to find something to watch because I've always like cartoons as a kid. Obviously, most kids would, but every single thing I've ever liked, I've kind of drifted away from it. So I wanted to find something that I would actually really like. And I was 5 years of age watching a steel cage match. I think Batista was in it. And I was looking at it thinking to myself, whoa, what am I watching here? And and I was just so fascinated with it. And then I started getting involved with the characters like John Cena. Like the whole reason I started watching wrestling was because I loved the in-ring characters like John Cena, Randy Orton, people like that. Even when the Nexus came out, I hated them guys so bad. I didn't understand wrestling at the time. So I think that it was that was the characters that kind of got me into wrestling, and then from that I've been hooked ever since.
Cool. So it was fair to say that you grew up during that ruthless aggression era.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. See, I'm a little old. I'm way older than you. I grew up watching wrestling in the '80s. So I grew up during the time of Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Junkyard Dog, guys like that. And like I said, I've been seeing wrestling evolve from since then, and it is definitely grown.
Well, absolutely. Even when you look at like the whole, as I said, the other reason I started getting into wrestling was maybe because of John Cena, AJ Styles, the Nexus. But because of them people is because I started getting into wrestling. Like if them characters weren't so good, like if it wasn't for Andre or Hogan, in that WrestleMania 3, or wasn't for Hogan, who the characters matched way more than the wrestling skills. That's what made wrestling, I think, was the characters involved in it.
Sweet, definitely. And real quick, let everybody know. We also have a link where you can in the comments where you can click on Kayfabe Keaton's YouTube channel. Make sure you go in there and subscribe. And he also has some clips from some of his wrestling matches. He's been doing some trainings, and we're gonna talk about that also. So, what made you decide to take the leap and start training at the Lions Den Dojo, and what has that experience been like so far?
Yeah, well, it's been an incredible experience, but to be fair, it kind of happened out of nowhere. It was sort of, I wanted to figure out some of the wrestling scene in Northern Ireland. I didn't see kind of the prestigious history of Northern Irish wrestling. So, I've been to a couple of WWE live shows in Belfast, and I was trying to find a local scene, a local wrestling show that I could go to. And we were on a group called Northern Ireland Wrestling Fans, asking if there was any Northern Irish wrestling promotions. Okay. That would have been a really stupid question to ask on a wrestling group about Northern Irish wrestling. So, one of the trainees and wrestlers at NIPW, Northern Ireland Pro Wrestling, had told us that these are the shows that are going to be happening. So I started up my own YouTube channel to make a video about this, and the show was called Roar is War, and my channel was called Wrestling Revolution Keaton. So I went backstage, interviewed a lot of the wrestlers. Everyone was just so nice. I started going to the shows from then on, got to know the promoters well. And then I saw a post saying that they're going to be promoting kids wrestling. So they're going to do kids wrestling training. And I thought to myself, I have to do this. I know all the promoters really well. I know the wrestlers really well. So I couldn't think of a better place to train than the Lions Den Pro Wrestling Dojo. So it kind of happened out of nowhere, where it was just there, and I decided to go. And I didn't think it would last this long, to be fair.
Sweet. Real quick, I know you said you had saw the ad for kids wrestling. How old are you?
At the minute, I'm 13. I started wrestling when I was 10.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's what's up. Hey, you doing your thing out here. Hey, and you're the youngest guest of Wrestling from the 313, so you're making a little history.
Great accolade.
That's what's up. So, what has been the toughest part of training so far? Has it been the conditioning, the psychology, the promos, or the bumps?
I've never really, from that kind of thing, I've always kind of liked the psychology and the bumps. I've always really liked bumping because I've seen so many different wrestlers do it. The hardest thing for me is probably the lanes. In America, the lanes are to the left. In Northern Ireland, they're to the right. So understanding the lanes that you need to be in was the hardest part for me. And a couple of the shoulder rolls and stuff. I find a lot of the rolls hard at the start, but I've always loved chain wrestling and stuff like that. So. But the hardest parts were probably the lanes and stuff. I never really understood that at the start.
That's what's up. So, like, learning to wrestle at 10 and taking that first bump, what did it feel like? Was you like mad sore? Did you fall to the point where it was like, I don't even know if I want to do this, or you was just like, oh yeah, this is it?
Well, I didn't start doing bumps till I was about 11 or 12 because obviously my bones were still growing. But when I took that first bump, I thought to myself, I'm actually a pro wrestler. I thought to myself, all the different wrestlers do this. It was a bit of a shock to the system, but I just thought to myself, like, I'm made to do this. So, and this is what all I've ever wanted to do. So I just thought to myself, I need to get on with it. And from that, I've liked taking bumps. But the very first bump it's something you'll never expect.
That's what's up. So, what's one lesson your coaches at Lions Den have taught you that really changed the way that you look at wrestling?
That's a hard one because my three coaches, Ricky, John, and Nathan, are great. But probably most favorite thing I've ever been taught, and maybe the most best piece of advice, is make everything look realistic. Because when you look at some wrestling now, especially on the indies, not no disrespect to some of the indies, but a lot of the indies is quite, how would you describe it, like not very realistic, where if they do an Irish whip it looks like really fake. That's why people think wrestling's fake. You know, when you need to, for the audience, my coach Nathan told me, like, for the audience who are going there, they're going to want to like pick things out. Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's fake. But if you make everything look so realistic, as if you're hitting a clothesline, as if you're actually properly hurting them, people will go back and people will say to each other, "Oh, that wrestling's real," and then that's what will get the wrestling business back to everyone liking it. And I think like making it look, everything look realistic is what makes you look good, and it's what makes your opponent look good. And that's probably the best thing I've been taught.
Sweet. The one thing that I hate that we're still in this phase that wrestling that people still call wrestling fake. Like I hate that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's all, and we already know that it has come out that is predetermined. You know what I'm saying? But what people don't realize, yes, I understand that, you know, you have to train to be a wrestler. You have to learn to make it seem like you said, make it seem like you really hitting a person, but you really not. But there are times where wrestlers do get hit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, and it's like, even just like with some of the like hardcore matches and stuff like that, you're not gonna hit somebody upside the head with a chair and they just gonna be like, "Oh, that felt good, do it again." You know what I'm saying? You gonna fall out and you gonna be woozy because you just got knocked over the head with a steel chair, or even if you go through a table. So it's just like, and not just that, like these guys get injured just running back and forth to the ropes, like, and I just hate that we still in that notion. It's 2025 and we still call it wrestling fake. It's still not getting the respect that it deserves, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even if you, a very famous wrestler said this. He said, I can't remember the exact person who it was, but someone said, like, you may be able to fake a punch or whatever, but you cannot fake a body slam. You can call it fake if you want, but you can't fake a good old body slam or a clothesline, because even if they didn't probably hit you, you're taking a bump to your body. It's equivalent of taking a fall. You're taking that over and over again, and that's worse to your body in the long run than MMA or UFC, because of the amount of pain that you're taking over and over again. Even Ken Shamrock said it. He's experienced MMA, UFC, and he's beaten in WWF. He says WWE was harder on his body than UFC because he had to take that pain, and he just had to take it over and over again every single night. So if you want to call that fake, if you want to call the amount of deaths and even the wrestlers right now who are suffering from knee injuries, everything like that, from taking this pain over and over again, then you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. And that's just even with Logan Paul. Logan Paul even said the same thing, like training to be a wrestler is like one of the hardest things he's ever done.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just even with some of the documentaries that I've watched, like, what's that show, Tough Enough, when they used to show where these guys had to, like, you know, just warming up, training, they had to take, like, a whole bunch of bumps, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, you know, as time goes along, that takes a wear and tear on your body. So it's just like I said, I feel like wrestlers don't get the respect that they deserve. I mean, if I don't know if you saw Blood and Guts, AEW,
yeah.
Darby Allin just got thrown through a flaming table. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get up from that and was like, yeah, let me do that again. He was hurt. So, you know, I just hope that one day people give professional wrestlers, whether it's the big leagues or the indies, that, you know, people give wrestlers their respect.
Absolutely. Like, even when I don't think they'll ever get the full respect that they deserve, because there'll always be them haters, but I would like more people to understand the kind of pain that it takes. And yes, it's scripted, but so's a movie, and the pain that they take in movies, like with stuntmen and stuff, that's completely real. Some of the pain that they take. And like, if someone's going to go over to someone and say, well, what you watch is fake, then why do people watch a movie? Why do people go to a pantomime?
Exactly. And the whole crazy part is people believe what goes on in these reality shows than they do with wrestling. And honestly, if you really think about it, if you really look at it, some of the storylines, like some of the storylines in the past, have had some reality in it. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't, I on that standpoint, I wouldn't necessarily say wrestling is fake because look at the whole Edge and Matt Hardy situation. You know what I'm saying? They took the
Yeah.
realism, the situation from that, and turned it into a whole storyline. And even with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart from back in the day. So I don't know. Like I said, I just hope that one day people just look at the sport of wrestling and just see that it's real.
Absolutely.
So you're the host of the Kayfabe with Keaton podcast. What inspired you to start podcasting?
So I already had the YouTube channel going. It started about 4 years ago. My second ever video was making it at NIPW, but my first ever video was reviewing an NXT War Games figurine video. So it started 4 years ago. Didn't expect anything to come out of it. I literally started with a small phone and a kid reviewing a couple of wrestling figures. Then this later came into me producing high quality videos with NIPW, getting to interview some of the top wrestlers in the business. So I'd done lots of interviews, with TNA knockouts like Magic Race and Harley Hudson. I've done interviews with Eddie Hamill, Kung Fu Eddie Hamill, Northern Irish wrestling legend. I've been able to do that kind of thing. So I thought to myself, what about if I'd done this live? What about if I started up my own podcast and was able to bring this into a live series because I have these kind of contacts? And I came onto my first ever podcast, like this one. I got interviewed on a podcast called NWF Rewind. These were so the owner of this was called Crusher Crossan, who started up the first ever kids wrestling promotion, and he told me, I can see your passion through this, because he was a wrestler as a kid, and he told me, I can see your passion through this, so I would like to co-host a podcast with you. And I thought to myself, I haven't a clue what's going on here. Like, I don't know how to use StreamYard, I don't know how to use AVMux, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So he was able to kind of direct me through it at the start, and host a lot of podcasts while I was getting on my guests. Got on my coach Nathan. And then I later got on some legend of the business, Mike Quackenbush, former ex-WWE talents like Andy Roberts, Pat Tanaka was supposed to come on. He's coming on in the future. So the podcast kind of started off with just me trying to, I suppose trying to, what's the word, like kind of popularize indie wrestling, because it wasn't getting the respect it deserved. And then hopefully, I was hoping I would get on maybe some bigger wrestlers in the future, but now Crusher Crossan isn't a part of it. Not it's just because he is training for wrestling at the minute. But I give a lot of respect to Crusher Crossan for this podcast. Without him, I wouldn't have done it.
Sweet. Yeah, that's what I would say also. Like when I started mine, like it was one of them things. Like I was always into wrestling. I'd be talking about wrestling, and my wife would always tell me, like, you need to start a podcast or something. So I had did it. I was doing it through Spotify and did a couple of episodes, and then I kind of stopped for a minute. And then I had I was a guest on my first podcast. That was Friends of the Square Circle. And ever since then, like I, had that itch to do it. And once I started meeting people in the IWC, going on different podcasts and stuff, that really got the juices flowing to like really do something with this podcast. And like anytime you get to talk about something, to do something that you interested in or love, and like, we're wrestling fans, it's a good thing. And hopefully, we both get to the point where, hey, we doing this full time and doing this as our jobs, and don't have to, work a 9 to 5.
Yeah, that'd be great if that happened. At the minute, I would hope for at the minute it's just a passion, but hopefully someday it'll become a full-time job for me. I just want to be involved in wrestling, so hopefully one day it'll become a full-time job.
That's what's up. We got a couple of questions. We got one from Darren Whiteside. He asked, ever heard of a bump card?
Yep. So a bump card is when you take so many bumps, and the human body isn't supposed to take that many bumps, so that's why it's better to do chain wrestling, where you do wrist locks and nice reversals and technical wrestling. So your career doesn't like someone could do maybe 100 bumps in a match, someone could maybe only do two, but that's maybe how you work it out with your bump card. But to see how much bumps you can take, and it doesn't matter how, like you can take maybe 100 bumps, but in the long run that's going to cost you. So that's maybe why it's better not taking as much bumps, and just going through your career and focusing maybe more on the character and chain technical wrestling. So that's what a bump card is.
That's what's up. We got another one from Mighty Molly. She asks, how do you communicate in the ring?
So I normally just talk, because whenever anyone comes out, our audience at NIPW are great. I think it's the best fans in Northern Ireland. So normally we don't really have to whisper or anything, but it's better not to communicate if you're doing a hammerlock. It's better to communicate if let's say if you were doing an Irish whip into the corner. I would reach in, I'd whisper in his ear what the next move is. We would go from there, and then if we forgot another spot, again we'd just go from there and whisper in each other's ear what's coming next. Just when you're close to the person, not when you're doing a hammerlock, because the sound just doesn't go through as well.
Sweet. That's what's up. So we got one from Wrestling Insider. Have you got a link to the YouTube channel? Sounds like you've had some great guests. Who's your next big guest?
So I don't think at the minute you have a link to the YouTube channel. I know I sent it to you, but I think there was some problem with getting it, wasn't there?
Good. Yeah. Let me see. It should be it should be in the YouTube comments. If not, I'll put it in the description after this episode.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So the question, what was the question? Sorry. After that?
Yeah. Who's sorry. Let me get. Who's your next big guest?
I can't share too much. I have a lot coming down the line, but my next guest is Irish Davey O'Hannon, who's travelled all around with the WWF and the WWF. He's wrestled the likes of Bruno Sammartino and has worked for Vince McMahon Jr. and Senior. So he's worked on the WWF. So he'll be a great guest to have on, especially to talk about the territory days and what it was like for the territories to be taken, and why he got taken to Vince McMahon. So we'll have a lot of stories to share. So it'll be good to have him on.
Sweet. How has podcasting helped you grow your presence in the wrestling community while you're still early in your in-ring journey?
It's helped it grow a lot, because if I went to a wrestling show and I started training, I wouldn't be at this spot right now, and I wouldn't get the pops I get if I didn't have this podcast. Because me being Wrestling Revolution with Keaton, people would go up to me and say, I brought my kid to this training because I've seen your videos, because of NIPW, because I've seen your videos, I've go to these wrestling shows. So whenever I come out, the people would know me because of the podcast. So I do try to bring my persona into that. I use my real name. I call myself the Kid of Rock, Keaton Whiteside, because Kayfabe Keaton's in the name. And, so it's an easy name to know, and then when you can search it up, and then you can find who I am. Because I like to mix it in with my persona, and it really has helped me develop in the wrestling community.
Sweet. So what is the wrestling scene like in Northern Ireland right now, and how do you see it growing in the next few years?
So at the minute, things are going great. I do believe I'm part of the leading wrestling promotion in Northern Ireland. But there is a lot of great promotions in Northern Ireland. There's OTT that come over here. They're Europe's biggest wrestling promotion, but they're from Ireland. And then there's Titanic Wrestling, who are homegrown, who's built WWE stars such as Tucker and Melly Grace, who's signed to TNA at the minute. We'll have Stay True down further in Northern Ireland, near down the bottom of Northern Ireland. We'll have CAW that come over here, so we'll have a lot of promotions. And for such a small place, the scene's going great at the minute. We'll have loads of different promotions that people have choice to go to, loads of different options for people to go to with the kind of wrestling that they enjoy. If you can go to NIPW for their hard-hitting action and gritty wrestling, and then also with the character work, you can go to OTT, Titanic for comedy wrestling, because their comedy stuff is great. There's always an option for Northern Irish wrestling. It's went on leaps and bounds through the years, and for how it will be in the next few years, I can see the promotion I wrestle for, NIPW, going to the top. We've we're affiliated with the AIWF, the Allied Independent Wrestling Federations, and with Drew Onyx, so I can see a lot of different wrestlers globally wanting to go to Northern Ireland because of the affiliation with the AIWF. So I see the scene going really strong.
That's what's up. So, do you in the future see more of American promotions doing shows in Ireland, or do you think it's gonna kind of stay how it is?
I think we could just run it by ourselves, but I could see a lot of American promotions coming over because there's the AIWF that we're affiliated with, the Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling Dojo, run by Drew Onyx. He's quite good friends with the coach Nathan. He's wrestled on a lot of NIPW shows. They would come over, just for NIPW, so I can see a lot of there already is a lot of Canadian wrestlers coming over, and then there's a big chance that a lot of American wrestlers will come over with the affiliation with the AIWF, and a lot of our wrestlers are traveling to Nigeria and Portugal with these kind of contacts with the promoters. So I can see a lot of them coming over here. There's a lot of global wrestlers coming over here, so there is a high chance that it could happen in Northern Ireland.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, for people, from people like here in the U.S., just name some of the top indie stars over in Northern Ireland right now.
So I could see at the minute, John McCann, I think, is the leading wrestler in the country. He has helped me learn how to wrestle. He's one of the assistant coaches with NIPW, but he's amazing. He just listens to everything, and I think John McCann is going to go far because even in his spare time, a lot of people at the age of 18, 19 would be going out partying. All he's doing is studying different wrestlers, learning how to get in his persona. He can do chain wrestling, high flying wrestling, powerhouse. He can be a powerhouse. He can do everything on that card. And I've never seen anybody like as good in ring as John McCann. I think he could be making it to WWE, and he's already at the age of 19. He's the Northern Ireland champion. Has travelled over to Spain, Portugal, everywhere, and I think that's amazing for the age of 19.
That's what's up. We got another question for you from Bagga. He wants to know, when you are older, you dream of wrestling in America. If offered, would you go?
Who wouldn't? I believe that, if I got that opportunity, 100%. I don't think I would go looking for it, because I know a lot of people think that you should go looking for them kind of things, but I just believe like it will come to me if it's right. I will try to travel over to Japan and stuff, but I don't want to be going for a WWE try and get told no, and then that ruins my persona or character. I would just like to get into WWE because of they want to hire me more. But yeah, I would love to wrestle for more places in America. I would do anything really for tour, and if I got asked to go anywhere, I would just do it. No questions asked.
That's what's up. So, real quick, I know we're talking about we're talking about the indies. Real quick, NXT UK. Did you get a chance to watch NXT UK coming up watching wrestling?
Yes, I did actually. I should have mentioned this when you asked me the best indie wrestlers right now in Northern Ireland. So there's a guy called Tucker who is amazing. He's a legend over in Northern Irish wrestling. He actually was on NXT UK. He got into the finals of the NXT UK tournament from this, and he's from here. So okay. I watched it more because of him, because he was from our country. But yeah, I've watched a lot of the NXT UK stuff. I've interviewed a couple of the old NXT UK wrestlers.
Yeah, NXT that the black and gold era, when that was a good time, and when they took some of those wrestlers and created NXT UK, that was some real good wrestling. The PLEs were 5-star, the matches were 5-star, and I just hate that COVID happened, because it was like once COVID happened, it just messed up a lot, because they were WWE wanted to basically start have like a NXT like territory in Europe. That was actually talked about, but once COVID hit, it kind of like messed up all those plans.
Oh yeah, like NXT UK was amazing, especially for me. I'm a big fan of the old school British wrestling, and a lot of the old British wrestlers came to train a lot of the NXT UK guys. There was Johnny Saint and Marty Jones being their coaches. And I actually think NXT UK was more of I would call it the closest thing in WWE to indie promotion, because we got some of the top indie wrestlers. Andy Roberts, who is going to be interviewing, we've had on NXT UK, and they're learning like proper old school British wrestling. It was an incredible feeling, and I think WWE kind of run it to the ground, because I think they could have still held and had it happening. I believe that they would have had much more of a UK fan base. I think it was a bit of a terrible decision.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also remember that's how I kind of got exposed to Piper Niven. Like I would see her her posting stuff on Instagram, and I would follow her, and then I would always hear news about her signing with WWE, and she was coming to NXT UK. And they had a lot of good names, a lot of good wrestlers that wrestled over there at NXT UK. Dragunov, him and the matches him and Walter used to have, or now he's Gunther. Pete Dunne when he was the champion.
Oh yeah, I love Pete Dunne.
Yeah, that was a good time in NXT, and I wish that I don't know if they're gonna do it now that they owned by TKO, but I would like for them to go back to that idea of having like an NXT Europe. I think that would be dope.
Oh, it'd be amazing. It's close. I love NXT because it's the closest thing to indie promotion. But at the minute, I think WWE is doing something very stupid, because if they have three different weekly television shows, they need to have big stars on it. But with Johnny Organo leaving, Tommaso Ciampa, nearly everybody just to go to the main roster, it's kind of ran NXT to the ground. I know the better wrestlers should be picked to go to the main roster, but I believe that they should maybe pick the select few to go every year, so then they still have the good wrestlers to represent NXT. And I think that's maybe why it's run to the ground at the minute. But hopefully Shawn Michaels can change that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. So we do got a question real quick. Darren Whiteside with another question. For the age of 13, you have already challenged for a world title. That's amazing. How did you come up with your ring name?
So literally, I didn't have to think much. Well, I suppose it did, but like what someone always says, what coach always says, what people say is like turn your character up to 1,000, and that's exactly what I've did. I've loved rock music along with wrestling. I've loved bands like Linkin Park, Queen, people like that, and I just thought to myself, I need to choose this ring name, the Kid of Rock, because I was looking. My original ring name was going to be Lightning Bolt, and I just thought to myself that if it was fast, that would have been good, but I'm more of a chain wrestler, so I thought to myself, why not just be myself? And I called myself the Kid of Rock, Keaton Whiteside, and came out to Guns N' Roses. I've got a guitar and as a ring prop. I've been head up the head. I was supposed to be head up the head with it before. We've done some really good stuff with that kind of character, so that's how I came up with the ring name, the Kid of Rock, Keaton Whiteside.
That's what's up. We got another question for you. Carrick and District Pool League, they want to know what do you think of WWE's latest return? Woo, woo, woo. Zack Ryder.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I've been a big fan of Matt Cardona. I've actually been on the same show as Matt Cardona before for OTT. Yeah. And he gave me one of his signed middle fingers, his signed middle finger foams. So I've always been a really big fan of Zack Ryder. And when he went to the Indies, I still like the Matt Cardona character, but a lot of people think it's bad that he called himself Zack Ryder, but that's what he's been known as in WWE. And if he's going to be wrestling John Cena, he needs to be called Zack Ryder, because that's who John Cena faced. So I think it's great what WWE have done. Although losing the LA Knight was a terrible match decision in my opinion, but yeah, it was great him coming back. I loved how they stole the entrance. I loved it.
Yeah. What do you think what do you think of how they pushing LA Knight? Like me personally, I think that he should have been one of the guys to win the World Heavyweight Championship after Seth Rollins had got injured and had to drop the belt. It's just like with CM Punk doesn't really need the belt. He doesn't need the belt at all at this point in his career. And I mean, it would have been cool to see Jey Uso with the belt again, but I didn't think he needed it either. So I think it was an opportunity for them to put the belt on somebody fresh or somebody new. And I think LA Knight or Braun Breaker would have been the perfect candidates to be the champ. But I hear with Braun Breaker that they're waiting for like a bigger event to put the title on.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I don't really like Alien. I don't think he's all that great in the ring. I know a lot of the fans like him, and
Yeah,
that's maybe one of the main things. If the fans like you, that's when you should get a belt. But I just don't really like Alien. I think Braun Breaker's a new and up and coming wrestler. I think he deserves the belt. I agree with you. He should have been world champion. But I can understand why WWE put the belt on CM Punk, because with the kind of hate with Seth Rollins, the literal hate backstage and in ring. I think it's great that CM Punk won that belt, maybe one last time. But LA Knight is loved by the fans, so I can understand why you may think that. But I think the belt should have went to Braun Breaker because he can lead the company in the future, and
yeah,
he'll win a lot of world titles anyway.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. You see him you could you see him at any point in his career when he becomes when he finally becomes world champion? You think he could break one of them streaks as like world for longest streaks as world champion? Maybe like Roman Reigns or somebody like that.
Braun Breaker?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. The guy has so much potential. Like the charisma that he has in the ring and how he's able to present himself is amazing. I think he's just classy, even with the spears. Like Edge is recognized as a master of the spear, but if you actually look at Edge's spears, he actually had to go down on his knees to do a spear. But Braun Breaker, he literally just bulldozes through someone. His spears make it look 100% real, like we were talking about. They're realistic. He has
yeah,
it all: character work, strength, charisma in the ring, and everything. He can talk on the mic as well. I didn't actually realize that until watching a couple of Raw episodes. But Braun Breaker has got it all. Yeah, he has the potential to be a world champion. If Roman Reigns could be a world champion, he can definitely be a world champion and break that streak.
yeah. So what do you think they should do with Bronson Reed? You know, I know that they're in the vision. I know they got plans for Braun to be the world champion. Do you think that Bronson Reed should be in that mix for the Intercontinental title?
Yeah, definitely, because I think it'd be cool if Seth Rollins won the title back. I think he won. I think he lost it too early, but if he won the title back, then Bronson Reed was a champion and Braun Breaker was a champion. It could be a takeover of the division. It can be quite risky because you know the way WWE fans are; they complain about everything, every match decision. Um, on social media, it's crazy the complaining. But if all them titles were won, it could be a vision takeover, and this storyline could be really risky. But if the Rock's recognized as part of the WWE, like one of the top dogs, so if he comes out and challenges the Rock and says, "I want ownership of WWE," Seth Rollins comes and takes the title off comes and wins the Rock, then that's a vision storyline and the vision of literally taking over WWE. I think that would be immense, but there would be some people hating on that as well because of the world of wrestling is just filled with complainers.
Right. That's what's up. So we got another question for you from Steve Savage. He asks, what is your Mount Rushmore of shows that you have attended in the British Isles of UK and Ireland?
Ooh, so um, my number one is without a doubt. It's not even that it was an amazing show. It just I was a part of it and it was a dream for me. It was like WrestleMania for me, you know, being able to be a part of this. So I was able to wrestle for the NWF World Championship. Now this championship has means so much to me. I was inspired by watching the NWF wrestling. They were National Wrestling Federation of Minnesota. I had commented on a lot of their stuff, and then they wanted to get me onto the podcast. That guy Crusher Crossing I was telling you about. So I actually really did look up to these guys, and they donated the belt to NIPW for a lot of the younger wrestlers coming through. And I got the opportunity to be the first title defense in 40 years for that World Championship, which was a dream come true for me. So that's definitely number one for me. Number two, my second favorite show. This is quite a surprising one. I honestly believe this was a better main event than Clash at the Castle. Now I've attended Clash at the Castle, and I believe this was a better main event. So there was this show made in Londonderry in Northern Ireland for adults with learning disabilities. So they were able to put on a show, and the coach, Combo Craig was able to train them, and it was absolutely incredible the stuff that they were able to pull off. For someone to be able to train someone that well, he actually taught a blind person how to wrestle, and this blind person was in a match. Incredible. They had loads of different people with different disabilities, special needs, autism, things like that, and they were putting on hardcore matches. They were fighting at the top of balconies. They were having high flying wrestling, everything on that show. I've had the pleasure of commentating on that and being backstage at that show, which was a pleasure for me. But absolutely incredible show. The third best one I've ever attended was probably WWE Money in the Bank. That was in London. I've always been a really big fan of Pete Dunne and AJ Styles, so to see them two compete in a match was a really dream come true for me. And fourth is NIPW Slamdown. I just think with me watching how that place is growing from starting off slowly with that Roar's War show to being able to put on wrestling shows, selling out all shows across Northern Ireland. I felt quite proud, but also it was just an incredible show to attend. So that's my Mount Rushmore of shows I've attended.
That's what's up. So we got another question from Bring Back Patty. He wants to know, has anything in wrestling ever brought you to real tears? Storyline, wrestler retiring, Hall of Fame, etc.
Yeah, actually, I was. This is quite a funny one. I was always a big fan of Tommaso Ciampa in the NXT days. I always loved that guy. So he had his match against Tony D'Angelo, and I was in the living room, and I'm watching Tommaso Ciampa in his retirement match. He got hit up the head, and I was only about 9 at the time. It counted 3, and I started crying my eyes out because I thought I would never see Tommaso Ciampa again. Little did I know he was only going to the main roster, but I'd always really looked up to Tommaso Ciampa, and I got quite emotional about it. And also the Undertaker retirement as well. You know, that's he was a generational wrestler, iconic. Seeing him retiring all was sad. Yeah. So there are 2 moments where I've cried at wrestling.
And that's funny you said that because Bring Back Patty said the same thing. He said Undertaker retiring was hard to take. Yep. And I had to think about it. I'm trying to think. I think I've had a moment in wrestling where it almost brought me to tears. I honestly, I think it was when Kofi Kingston finally won the WWE Championship. I think, you know, just watching everything that he went through, you know, and not in a bad way, but just all the work that he put in with his character. He had a Jamaican accent. Then, you know what I'm saying, just a guy just trying to find his way. You know, he was winning tag team titles. He was winning the Intercontinental title, won the U.S. title, but he was just never getting that opportunity to win the world title. And then when he finally did it, it was just like, I think if you're a wrestling fan, whether you're a fan of Kofi or not, him finally winning that title, for me, is like one of my favorite moments, favorite WrestleMania moments.
Yeah, funny you should say that. Kofi Kingston at one point was one of my favorite wrestlers because I was always looked up to the New Day. It was always the more fun characters, especially when I was younger, that I really got into. Hornswoggle, the New Day, El Torito, the WLC matches and stuff. I think comedy can be a great way of wrestling if it's done right, and it's proven that through time. Sometimes it can suck, sometimes it's awesome, but I've always looked up to Kofi Kingston, and him winning that belt meant a lot to me as well. I wish I had got that reaction of him winning that title on camera, because I went mad at that day. Yeah.
So, what's your ultimate goal in wrestling, and where do you hope this journey takes you over the next 5 to 10 years?
So it's the main thing for me right now is obviously I want to keep wrestling in NIPW, but I hope to wrestle in other promotions across Northern Ireland and hopefully sometime in the UK. But I've been in touch with lots of different promoters that won't let me wrestle because I'm under 16, which is fair enough. So I've been able to be backstage at some shows with different promoters, commentating and always helping out at different shows. I've wrestled matches obviously at NIPW, but the ultimate dream right now for me is just for me to make an impact. I want to be known in wrestling. I don't care if that's wrestling. I don't care if it's YouTubing, podcasting, managing, just for making some sort of an impact in wrestling where people go, oh, that guy done well. because that's what I want people to think. He done well because I want to have that kind of impact where people think to themselves that this kid has potential or this kid done really well.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. And that's how I always was too. I always wanted to have some type of I always wanted to be in the wrestling industry. I knew I wasn't getting in the ring. I wasn't about to be no wrestler because hey, I respect I'm not getting dropped on my head. Not saying that, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
not putting my safety at risk. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't do it. I would like to one day, be on get on a promotion, maybe do like some commentary or whatever like that, or do something where like I give somebody the belt after a match or something like that. So, I gotta put that in the air. Hopefully sometime in 2026 that ends up happening.
yeah. Well, I used to be like you before the real dream kicked in. I always said to myself I wanted to be involved in wrestling, but I always said I wanted it to be a manager. I was also really good at writing books. I've written a couple of books. None of them really got published, but I raised some money for different charities and stuff with books. So I always thought to myself I wanted to be a wrestling author. Hopefully that can happen in the future. I think it could, but I always wanted to be involved in it. So, but I like you, I was always worried about getting dropped on my neck or something. But now I'm sort of willing to take that risk to get to the top and to make some sort of an impact. But I would recommend doing it. It doesn't matter kind of what level you're at or whatever it is. It's just being involved in it. It's a dream come true.
Definitely. We got another comment for you. We got from TZS videos. They put you remind me of a young Paul Heyman. No doubt you will be on the scene for years to come. Such a super cool kid. Shout out to TZS videos also. Appreciate the comment.
Thanks very much. Thanks for comparing me to legends like that, Paul Heyman.
Hey, those are that's a legend right there. And hey, you know what I'm saying? Somebody to compare you to him, that is a real big compliment.
Yeah.
Compliment. So hey, keep doing your thing, man. You got a lot of years in this industry, so sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want, man.
Yeah, thanks very much.
No problem. So we talked about, your journey, podcasting and wrestling and stuff. I always like to start my shows, getting to know the guests. And right now we're about to talk a little WWE, AEW. AEW just had Blood and Guts. What did you think of the match? AEW in the past has had people have complained about matches being a little too graphic. Blood and Guts was kind of the same thing. So what are your thoughts on the match?
To be honest, I wouldn't even pick up the remote to watch Blood and Guts. I don't think what AEW is doing at the minute is great. I've been a fan of AEW at some point. I watched AEW All In every year. I've been more of a WWE fan pretty much my whole life, but I just don't really think that at the minute AEW are doing anything great. In wrestling, as I said this before, the reason I started watching wrestling was for the John Cena's, who maybe wasn't all that great in ring, but he attracted me to wrestling because of his character and because of the storylines, like the Nexus coming out and attacking him. That made me want to go and watch John Cena whip the Nexus. That's what made me hate the Nexus, So AEW don't think AEW understand that. Tony Khan is a really rich guy. I don't think he understands wrestling very much because when you go out and you watch AEW matches, yes, there's Will Ospreay, who I really respect, but you don't really who does all them sorts of flips. You can do as many flips as you want, moonsaults or whatever, but there needs to be story in the match, or else it's not going to be liked. Like I had my match against the Canary Kid. It was his last match using the name the Canary Kid, and there was a lot of story to that. It was a trainer versus coach. It was a really, really good story. So I don't think that match would have been as well regarded if there was no story involved in that match. AEW at the minute, even with Blood and Guts and stuff like that, you can do as much hardcore wrestling as you want. You can throw them to as much burning tables, but it's not wrestling. It's stunts. It's not what I call wrestling. It's just terrible looking stuff. Like when Darby Allin goes through a glass table. If there's story involved in it, yes, hardcore wrestling can be good, but there needs to be story, and I think AEW are lacking that at the minute.
You know what? I totally agree with you because it's like they don't have. It's not necessarily that they must see TV, that they have to be must see TV, but it's like they don't have that storyline that's kind of like, oh, I gotta watch Dynamite tonight. Like the Death Riders storylines have been okay, but it, like I said, it hasn't been to the point where it's like I gotta watch Dynamite tonight. Um, I was I would compare AEW to like it still feel indie like. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I
and
know what you
and
mean.
it's and there's nothing wrong with that because I feel like a lot of these guys, a lot of people wanted to see on TV, but they didn't have the exposure to them because they were, wrestling in the indies or in New Japan. And depending on where you live, you might not have exposure to those shows. So I feel like AEW is like a promotion to bring all these guys from that wrestled in New Japan, that wrestled in the indies. Maybe we see some promotion crossovers. I feel like that was that promotion um, to do that because at the time, WWE, it was just strictly WWE. They weren't working with nobody else, but they kind of opened up a little bit, working with TNA and stuff. Um, what do you think of Mercedes Moné? She got the 12, 13 belts. A lot of people are not happy about that. Me personally, I don't. I mean, I think it's dope. I think it's cool. Um, a lot of people try to compare her. They say that she doesn't do good promos. But when the Ultimo Dragon, I don't know if you remember up on Ultimo Dragon,
Yeah, and
but
who
like
Ultimate Dragon is.
yeah, he had like 11 belts at one time, but he wasn't. What promos of him do you know that's memorable? You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, it's something that hasn't happened in 30 years. And I think it's cool what she's doing. I think she's doing something that's making not just history in wrestling, but for women's wrestling.
I'm not the biggest fan of it. I used to like Sasha Banks. I used to like her in WWE. She was quite good in WWE. But I think she's taking a big downfall because yes, she would maybe get booked for a couple of indie shows, but I don't I don't really rate her anymore. She says that she's the best wrestler in the world. I think she said that at one point, and she hates being called Sasha Banks. But when you look at her winning 13 titles, and her compared to Ultimo Dragon is crazy. Her winning 13 titles and not having any sort of skill in the ring. I don't think she has much skill. And just watching her matches, I can't be bothered to watch her matches. I don't think she's as good as she used to be. And it's sort of just, let's put a belt on you because you were famous at one point. It's not helping any other wrestlers. I think that would be a great storyline of someone winning 13 belts because I think AEW before Tony Storm went, that AEW should have done that with Tony Storm. I think Tony Storm, that would have been great with Tony Storm because she was timeless. Tony Storm, she was posh, but that she could have turned that into a character where she got cocky and arrogant, and she was like, "I'm the best wrestler in the world." I just don't feel like it should have been given to Mercedes Moné. Just don't think she really deserves it.
That's fair. We got a comment from Mighty Molly. She says AEW is more affordable and WWE are robbing the fans. Future generations are being lost because they are being priced out. Mighty Molly, you are absolutely right.
Yep.
Because it's crazy how much it costs to get a ticket at a WWE show now. Like I remember not too long ago, you could get a floor seat at a WWE show for like a little over $100. Now it's like $300 to $500 just to get a floor seat on row 5 or row 7. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they're pissing a lot of people off for raising the ticket prices. The merchandise have went up. I think the championship belts, I think certain ones that had different prices, and I think a lot of them now are just like straight $500, $600 now.
No, it's crazy. Like, WWE are coming to Belfast. They normally come to Belfast every year for a house show, but because this is a TV taping, the prices have went up. There's some tickets that are being sold for £800. The cheapest ticket that could be sold was £300 at the back seat, the worst seat that you can get. And this is all because it's a Raw TV taping. But I don't understand why. Like some house shows can be amazing. I understand people maybe want to be on Netflix or whatever, but I just think that they're really just taking the arm out, and it's not really WWE's fault. It's more TKO because they
Yeah,
they want to have the same equivalent as UFC because UFC charge this much, but traditional wrestling fans were the cheaper people, the more like living people who were willing to shout. Who like Cody Rhodes, he went in from a strange upbringing, with being a cowboy, like well, that kind of living like kind of like a countryman, and that was what the people who wrestled, like the poor people, and that's what who the wrestling fans were. But if prices are going like this, the place is going to be silent with just posh people, and it's not going to be great, and they are losing generations because no parents or no people are going to be able to afford that kind of price every single time. And I don't know, I just don't know why WWE or sorry TKO are doing this, but I don't think it's going to work out in the future, and I hate to say it, but I think Vince. I don't think Vince would be doing this. He
you know
understand.
what?
He understands.
You know what? Everybody that you know, podcasts that I've been on, people that have came on my podcast, they say the same thing. If Vince was still running the company, none of this would be none. Ticket prices would not be this high.
Nope, absolutely not. They're crazy. Like even how much have risen up in Belfast, and this is like why you should support your local indie wrestling at the minute, because of the prices. Like the day before, this is a very smart decision from my promotion NIPW. The day before Raw, we're doing a show on a Sunday. It's called um Sunday Night Slam. I think it's called Sunday Night Showdown or something. But it's going to be incredible. We'll have loads of different storylines, returning wrestlers, great production, all just for £10, and you can get that the day before Monday Night Raw in Belfast. You should just support your local indies. In some ways, NIPW is better than WWE with their ticket prices and some of their wrestlers and how they use their wrestlers. They don't just let someone go to waste. So I would definitely recommend like going to your local indies. And for anyone watching this, if you want to go to one of them shows, if you live in Northern Ireland, you can get the tickets at nipw.sumupstore.com.
Sweet. That's what's up. Real quick, want to give a shout out to Trail from the Sports for You Wrestling Podcast. He left a comment saying what up, and he said, what's good to you also, Keaton.
Hello.
All right, we talked a little bit about AEW. Now let's get to talk WWE. People, not only are they upset about the ticket prices and everything, but a lot of people have been upset about the storylines and the people that have been getting pushed and not getting pushed. What are your thoughts on the state of WWE right now?
I believe that the story is still quite good. I still believe that there's still have great stories with the vision and stuff. But I think a lot of the matches, they're still pushing wrestlers who maybe can't put on as good of a match. Like if you're watching a SmackDown or a Raw, if I don't know how someone can have that kind of attention span. Before I used to completely have that kind of attention span, but now because of 1 minute there's a promo on, the next minute they're interviewing someone, then there's a 3 minute break, then they're going to something else, and
Yeah.
it never really used to be like that. But now, yeah, I know that it happened before, but it was mostly lots of great action. But now it's not really much of an action. It's more just we're doing a Monday Night Raw here to promote WrestlePalooza, or we're doing a Monday Night Raw here to promote our next big show. We don't really care about Monday Night Raw anymore. That's what it feels like. It just feels like a build up, and I know that can be good sometimes to build up to a big show. But if you're watching wrestling, you'll want to watch the characters in Wrestling Weekly, and if the weekly shows aren't good, then why would you want to go and watch a sports entertainment show that's 2 hours long? The weekly shows need to be a good build up to the bigger shows, and that's why you can't just have advertising, another 3 minute interview, then another interview, then a terrible women's match. No disrespect to women's wrestling, but there is some terrible women wrestlers out there, and then maybe one decent match. It's a lot of time wasting, and that's why I think that will collapse.
Yeah. They got to get it together because a lot of people are just not happy with the current product. They want to see certain stars get built, but then it's like you want to see these guys get built, and you already know how things are in wrestling. If you're not hot right off the bat, they might push you for a couple of weeks, and then after that, you wrestling on main event for the rest of your contract.
Yeah, and a lot of their bigger stars, um, a lot of them, as I said, I'm not the biggest fan of LA Knight, but like even with Matt Cardona, I trust me, mark my words, he's not going to get used right. They'll use him in maybe for a couple of weeks, and he'll not be used a lot properly. Even just a lot of the wrestlers, they're not using them properly. Like one of my favorite, actually my favorite wrestler right now is El Grande Americano, aka Ludwig Kaiser.
Yeah,
I think he is amazing. I love technical wrestling, as I said, and he does so much great technical wrestling. If you want go much back his old stuff, he can wrestle, but they're not using him properly. They're maybe putting him in as El Grande Americano and stuff, but he's not being used properly. They've broke up Imperium. That tag team had the potential to be the top people,
yeah,
and I just think they've wasted so many tag teams. Even with Wade Barrett, he had the potential again to be a top star, in my opinion, with the Nexus. I know I spoke a lot about them on this podcast. It's I'm a really big fan of the Nexus as a faction. They just don't use a lot of the wrestlers properly. Same with Dolph Ziggler. I know he won titles and stuff, but they just didn't
man.
use him properly. Sheldon Benjamin, people like that, they're not using these people properly. In my opinion, Ludwig Kaiser is literally the best wrestler in the world, and they're putting people who can't wrestle above him, and that's why things aren't working out.
I definitely agree because Imperium, I feel like Imperium could have been like that second like heel faction after the Judgment Day on Raw. You know what I'm saying? Gunther was the champion, the Intercontinental champion, a world champion. You could have had the other two as the tag team champions, and they could have kind of like had that run as that dominant faction. And every now and then you could have had them kind of like bump heads with the Judgment Day. But yeah, I definitely think that they dropped the ball on Imperium in the on the main roster. But there was some stuff that was going on behind the scenes is reason why that they broke the group up or whatever. But another person that I think should be pushed, I mean, even as they should be, I know they're a tag team, but the Street Profits, like their tag team is like it's kind of like they've done everything. Like they won the NXT championships, they won on tag team championships on Raw and SmackDown. And it's like, what do you do with them now? You know what I'm saying? They pretty much done everything. And, everybody's saying, they should, let them go solo now. I would love to see them go solo, but it's just one of the things, like you said, they're pushing for a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two, and then give them a couple of losses, and then they right back down on the down in the ranks. I think another guy that's I think they should have gave Jimmy Uso a little of a push. Like I feel like Jimmy Uso, since they broke up the Usos, never really was able to like have his own character. He kind of like feeding off of Jay Uso's Yeet character. So that's kind of where he getting the popularity from. Not saying that, Jimmy Uso isn't a good wrestler or anything, but I just feel like they should have gave him his own character while Jay doing the Yeet, Jimmy could have been doing this and building his character on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. That the should have been letting Jimmy build his character much more. That WrestleMania match, I've always, and I'm no word of a lie here, I've always wanted to see this match happening. I watched an interview with the Usos. They said that they wanted them to have a match at WrestleMania. That was completely ruined by Triple H. I thought when Triple H was taking over the company, things were going to get better, but that was completely ruined because there's too many super kicks. I don't know that's their best moves, but about 20 super. There was about 30 super kicks in that match, and it just kind of ruined it. They had, and there should have been more story involved in it. That if they had let everything go out, that there'd been more story involved in it. Maybe bring in more of the family, the Fatu and Hawaii family, and had them to be a part of it. It would have been amazing. It would have been immense. Had the potential to be that way, but they really ruined it because it was a WrestleMania match. It had the potential to be the main event, and it just did not kick off whatsoever.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting, Triple H said this on that documentary that they have on Netflix.
WWE Unreal.
Yeah, Unreal. he was saying that when it comes to like the development of characters and just being good in the ring, that the women have been coming along
Oh
further
yeah.
than the men have. And that was interesting to me. But when he says that, like, it's kind of true. Because if you think about a lot of the call ups, a lot of the call ups have been women, you know. So do you think that's why a lot of the male superstars that we want to see get either called up or get pushed? Do you think that that's the reason why they're not getting the push that we all want to see?
No, I don't think so, because if when you look at most of the matches, maybe on SmackDown or whatever, most of them are male wrestling matches, and I do believe that the women's wrestling is actually overtaking men's wrestling through a lot of ways. You know, Tiffany Stratton, she's amazing. Then have lots of different wrestlers coming through, lots of newer women's wrestlers. I think I think the women's wrestling division's great. Like before, when you used to watch wrestling, the women's match when you're at wrestling shows, it would have been like, let's go from a toilet breaker, let's get some popcorn. But now the women's wrestling matches are the main things that you want to see, and I think that women's wrestling should be like equal to men's wrestling. When you look at Evolution, that was one of the best pay-per-views of the year.
Yeah,
The main event was amazing, but I don't think that's I don't think that's why they're not getting as big of a push. I think a lot of it's because of laziness, and I think a lot of it's maybe because of bad booking. Because when you look at some of the wrestlers that they have some of the best wrestlers in the world. Ludwig Kaiser, Jimmy Uso, who should be being used properly. There's so many great wrestlers. They should be being pushed properly as much as the women, and the women are. And the women should be being pushed properly. I just don't think that because the women, a lot of the newer women are coming through. I don't think that should change why wrestlers are getting pushed.
definitely. We got a couple questions. Scenic spots. Who's the next big thing coming through in your federation?
So the next big thing, in my opinion, is the younger kids coming through. You know, we'll have Finn, we'll have NJM Wrestles, we'll have We Show. All these new kids coming through are the future of NIPW. Like this promotion itself is come on leaps and bounds. It started off, you know, just as a small indie promotion, and they had a kid who's now just turned an adult, Ricky Henry, coming in at the same age as me. They had no kids training facilities, but the coach said that he wanted to bring him in, and he says, "I want to bring you in, you know, to make you the future of wrestling, because we need these newer people coming through." And from that, obviously, the training facilities have been better for kids, because kids get to wrestle kids, and Ricky Henry came one of the coaches. So I do believe that these people are the future of wrestling, because when you look at how far John McCann's came, that's because he started at the age of, I think it was 14 or 15. He started at that age. He started early, and that's what you need to do. Because John McCann's 19 now. If he had started at 16 or 19, he wouldn't have been getting the opportunities he's getting right now with Spain, going to Spain and stuff. So you don't just wait there. You go and do things. You go and reach up to do things. So I think that the next people coming through in NIPW are the younger kids. Because the next big thing isn't someone who's been there and done it. It's the next big thing are the people that are coming through, in my opinion.
That's what's up. We got another question from Steve Savage. He asks, who would you like to see make a return?
I would have a couple of days ago. I would have told you Matt Cardona. That's already happened. So, I think someone who didn't get maybe the respect that they deserve to, would love to see return back. Dolph Ziggler, I think he still has the potential to give another run. I think you can still give him another run, but use the name Nick Nemeth as he's used now. I think if you still use him as Nick Nemeth, he could honestly take over the promotion. If you give him that opportunity, he will take that. You know, he was able to make wrestlers look good, but now I think it's time that other wrestlers make him look good as a thank you. So I think the Matt Cardona should be used as a better and bigger wrestler, because it will improve the company. Sorry, not Matt Cardona, Nick Nemeth as a better wrestler, because it will improve the company and it will improve the state of wrestling at the minute.
Definitely. So John Cena. Let's talk about John Cena. You know, he's got a couple of more dates left before he retires. He just won the Intercontinental Championship. What's your thoughts on, you know, him finally becoming the Grand Slam champion and just his career overall?
I just think it's great. As I mentioned at the start of the podcast, John Cena is the whole reason I got into wrestling. I don't think I'd be watching it for as long as I have now because of John Cena. I'm a really big fan of John Cena, as you know. But what WWE's done with him, I know I've been complaining a lot about WWE on this podcast, but what WWE's done with him now, I think has been great. You know, they've turned him heel, which I think was amazing. You know, no, what I really don't like in wrestling at the minute is the media, like how people knew AJ Lee was returning. Everybody knew that before she returned. It was just a no-brainer that she was returning. But
Yeah.
Triple H kept everything secret. It was incredible how Triple H was able to keep everything secret. It was only kept with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and he's just able to keep it all secret. And then John Cena turned heel. Nobody expected it. Cody Rhodes spoke on the mic, absolutely amazing, and that was his time having the run as the champion, and then became the undisputed champion. The match at WrestleMania 41 wasn't great. I don't think the main event was all that great. I don't understand why they had that. I forget his name. The music artist coming out, not with The Rock. The
Oh,
Rock should have come
Travis
out with.
Scott.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what he should have came out with The Rock. But apart from that, John Cena's run has been amazing. The way Triple H has been able to use him as an in-ring performer and use it as his skills of being a heel and then coming back to being a face, defeating Dirty Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. Now that match that could have been absolutely trashed by fans, but when you look at how John Cena was able to win that championship, Triple H just made it amazing for John Cena. He made it so John Cena could win that, and he used storytelling in that match. So I just believe that this run of John Cena has been amazing, and it's all thanks to the booking team and the booking decisions. I think it was incredible.
That's what's up. I think like when Cena turned heel and that whole story that they was trying to put together or trying to create with The Rock and Travis Scott, I think that when that didn't when that fell through, they should have like put Cena along with some type of authority figure. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
Somebody as big as he was turning heel, he should have had somebody or by his side to like, you know what I'm saying, give him leeway or help him cheat or just had that authority figure. And I think that would have been a way to kind of like revitalize or kind of like boost that whole heel turn after, the whole thing with The Rock and Travis Scott fell out. But I would say, you being younger, you saying, being 13, John Cena is like the Hulk Hogan of your era. You know what I'm
Oh yeah,
saying? He was the guy that, you know what I'm saying, what Hogan was to us when I was growing up, to say your prayers, training, eat your vitamins. That was Cena with the hustle, loyalty, respect, and, doing the Make-A-Wish appearances that he was doing. He's definitely, and I'm old school, and I'm going to give him his props too. He definitely deserves to be on that GOAT list. Real quick, Mighty Molly just left a comment. She said, John Cena is the GOAT. Hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up. Glad he's finishing as a baby face. What would John Cena's legacy mean to you personally?
exactly what them words were: hustle, loyalty, and respect. And even the never give up part. That's what means the most to me. I've came home from a lot of training sessions having no confidence in myself. But I honestly believe, like, when John Cena says never give up, I will never give up on wrestling. It's what I love. And John Cena expresses that in every single one of the matches he's had. And even outside of the ring, he's an amazing guy doing all the Make-A-Wish stuff. But John Cena's legacy will go down for me personally as a great man and an overall inspiration to me as a wrestler.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So real quick before we get up out of here, we're gonna talk about the build up to War Games. So right now, the vision, it's gonna be Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and if you saw SmackDown yesterday, Drew McIntyre's on the team. CM Punk, Jay Uso, Jimmy Uso's gonna be on the team. What do you think about the men's match so far?
I think it'll be great. again, you need to have good storytelling in a match, and this kind of storytelling is great. They have some of the biggest stars in wrestling. I don't like Jey Uso whatsoever as a singles wrestler, but again, he's loved by the fans, and that's why he should have been in that match. CM Punk again, another guy loved by the fans.
Cody Rhodes is in that match too.
Cody Rhodes as well. The ultimate babyface, undisputed champion. They have some of the biggest global stars there is, and I think with them kind of matches, what makes it best is getting in the kind of the all-star talents, facing off against the best tag teams, because that's like where you don't know who's going to win, because you have maybe the biggest names in wrestling, but then you have two people who know each other so well as a tag team, so you don't really know who's going to win, and I love them kind of matches. So it'll be great. It'll be a great build up, with the Vision. And if I was booking that, I'd make the Division win that match to get them more over, making sure that they've beat four of the best in wrestling, four of the most popular in wrestling. Also get them over more as heels as well. It'll be great.
Yeah. So who do you think is going to, because it's probably going to end up being a 5-on-5. So who do you think is going to be the final participants for both teams?
Well, for the other team, I think it should be LA Knight. I know. I think because he's so popular, if you get over with the fans, nobody have an all-star team. If you get over the fans so well, he should definitely be in that team. LA Knight, I don't like him, but he'd be a great asset to the War Games match. I think even with just even the thing versus Yeet, it would be great. It would be great comedy wrestling if they're in and Yeet. But I think LNH should join that.
That's what's up. We got one more comment. That was this from Bagger, and he said, "Can I get a Yeet?"
Yeet.
Kayfabe Keaton, I appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate you, telling your story. I wish you well on your journey to being a professional wrestler as well as a podcaster. Before we get up out of here, do you got any shout outs, and do you want to let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, so thanks very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure coming on to this
Problem.
podcast. But if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at wrestling_revolution_Keaton. Then on Facebook, if you want to check up a lot of stuff, you can follow me. You can follow me on Facebook as Kayfabe Keaton. Then you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Wrestling Revolution Keaton, and you can also become a member of my YouTube channel as well. Make sure to hit that join button. You'll get to see videos nobody else can see. Then we'll have a lot of big guests coming up, so make sure to tune in tomorrow as well on Sunday night at 7 p.m. UK time for Davey O'Hannon. It'll be a great episode. Davey has had so much experiences, and for the future of even in 2026, we'll have a lot of big things lined up. So this is for the future of this channel. I definitely recommend watching it. It's going to be a really, really good year in 2026, and for the end of 2025, it's going to be incredible.
That's what's up. Real quick, let me want to thank everybody that watched this episode. Whether you're in the U.S., anybody that watched from Northern Ireland, definitely appreciate the love. Enjoy all the comments that you all sent and everything. You can find Wrestling from the 313 on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. My YouTube channel just hit we're over 7,000 subscribers now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We got over 3.6 million views, so I'm happy about that. Thank you for everybody that has, show love on that channel. Facebook channel has been growing like crazy. We're getting close to 1,000 followers on Facebook. So we just continue to grow here on Wrestling from the 313. We got an episode coming this Tuesday with Johnny Faith. We're gonna talk to him about his journey in wrestling, and we're just gonna keep this going. You're gonna see me on podcasts with guys from WSN. I'll be somewhere, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not on my podcast, I'll be, on somebody else's, showing them love. So once again, my guest Kayfabe Keaton. Make sure you go to his YouTube channel and subscribe to his channel. We'll leave the link in the description. Also, you can check out some of his matches. That will also be in the description as well. Once again, Kayfabe, thank you for coming on. Shout out to you. Good luck to your journey in wrestling. Shout out to everyone in Northern Ireland. And this your boy Mike. No problem, no problem. This your boy Mike D. This is Wrestling from the 313, and we are out.
Bye.
Peace.